You want to know about the overall strength of college football's Week 4 slate? Here's your sign. Even before Week 3 has been played, ESPN announced that its hugely popular college game day traveling will set up camp in the mecca of college football, New York City, next weekend. Yep, Reese, Kirk, Desmond, Coach Corso and company are headed to the Big Apple and Times Square of all places. Suffice to say, it's the first time the show will originate from NYC, although it'll be the second time it's aired in the state at West Point for South Florida in September of 2003. Start spreading the news. For the first time ever, we're headed to New York City next week. Pig.twitter.com/vo9VJW said. College Game Day at College Game Day September 14, 2017. In fairness, there weren't many other FBS options, although there were at least a couple that more than likely merited consideration. At the moment, there are just two games that weekend involving ranked against ranked teams. Number 20 TCU at number 9 Oklahoma State, number 25 UCLA at number 19 Stanford. The show was last in Stillwater in November of 2015 and at Stanford in November of 2011. Head coaches always love to say they played lights out after a tough Saturday of college football. In the case of number 19 Stanford and San Diego State, they mean it quite literally. With just under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the banks of lighting at decrepit old Qualcomm Stadium simply went out in a close, tense 4-point game. The inexplicable timeout was reminiscent of Super Bowl 47's outage, only with slightly less on the line for either side. That brief moment of darkness turned out to be a moment of clarity for the Aztecs, however, and allowed them to game plan an 11-play, 75-yard go-ahead scoring drive that sealed a 2017 victory and made the team an immediate Group of 5 bid contender. The outage overshadowed the much-anticipated duel between star tailbacks Bryce Love and Rashad Penny, who both lived up to the hype as they carried the respective teams offensively deep into the night. Given the conservative nature of both head coaches, there was little issue with running the ball often and playing stout defense between two good teams, but it certainly made for a rather unexciting contest when all was said and done. Cardinal quarterback Eller Christ was largely ineffective and had his worst outing as a starter, finishing with just 8 completions for an unremarkable 56 yards and the game-sealing interception with 48 seconds left. If not for Love running behind the bruising offensive line 184 yards and 2 scores, things could have been even worse for the one-time title dark horse. As good as Love was, though, his counterpart for the Aztecs was just as good in a second consecutive Pac-12 win. Penny wound up with 206 all-purpose yards and 1 touchdown, the bulk coming on 175 ground-churning rushing yards. Quarterback Christian Chapman was efficient to bring balance to the offense, 187 yards and the game-winning touchdown toss, and put SDSU firmly in the mix for the Group of 5 bid at the end of the year with a pair of major victories. Ask any college football fan what the best game they've seen in the past 2 decades or so, and the vast majority will instantly recall Texas' 2006 BCS championship game victory over USC as the gold standard. After all, who could forget Heisman winner Reggie Bush's inexplicable lateral of Vince Young's game-winning romp to the end zone? Memories of that contest have returned to the sport ad nauseum this week as the Trojans took on the Longhorns once again, and many were hoping for a similar bit of magic to the last time they met a few miles up the 110 North over a decade ago. For 3.5 quarters that was not the case, as fans were treated to sloppy play from both sides and dozens of mental mistakes, but it turns out there was a little bit of that Rose Bowl pixie dust left after all in the final few minutes. True freshman Sam Ehlinger saved his best for last and channeled old number 10 in burnt orange to lead a remarkable go-ahead drive and to give Texas a glimmer of hope to pull off another remarkable upset of a top 4 team. The problem was, USC's Sam Darnold still had time to keep writing his own remarkable legend in Cardinal and gold. As a result, number 4 USC got their long-awaited revenge and held on for a surprisingly narrow 2,724 win in double overtime over Texas in front of the biggest crowd for a football game Los Angeles will likely see until January. The one-time Heisman Trophy frontrunner didn't have his sharpest outing as a starter, but still finished with 397 yards, 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions to dazzle deep into the night once again. Darnold got the ball down 3 with just 45 seconds left in the fourth and marched USC right down for a game-tying field goal attempt that sent the game into overtime, and then needed just one play into the extra frame to find the end zone once again. After the Trojans' defense finally got an elusive stop against Erlinger by forcing a fumble, walk-on kicker Chase McGrath secured the victory with a 43-yarder that sent sighs of relief up from the packed house at the venerable old LA Coliseum. There were a lot of people who didn't see this one coming, although I can guarantee you that the rest of the SEC East is sitting up and taking notice. Coming into the Week 3 game against 18th-ranked Kansas State, Vanderbilt was somewhere between a 46-point underdog at home. After 60 minutes Saturday night, Vandy proclaimed they could be a force to be reckoned with in conference play, as a stifling defense played a huge role in dropping the Wildcats by the score of 147. The Commodores took a 70 lead late in the first quarter, with the Wildcats tying it up very early in the second. That 77 score would stay static for the next 36 minutes or so of game time until quarterback Kyle Shermer's 2-yard touchdown run of course proved to be the difference in the game. K-State had a chance to tie the game late, but quarterback Jesse Ertz was stopped a yard short on a 4th and 8 that originated from the Vandy 19-yard line. Neither team did much offensively, with the Wildcats accounting for 277 yards of offense to the Commodores' 270. Vandy averaged 4.9 yards per play, K-State 4.4. With the win, Vandy is 30 to start the season for the first time since 2011, James Franklin's first of 3 with the program. This also marks the first time since 1946, a 70-win over number 20 North Carolina State, that Vandy has beaten a ranked non-conference opponent. With the struggles of Florida and Tennessee, Vandy is slowly becoming the trendy pick to challenge Georgia for SEC East supremacy. Buyer beware on that front, though, as they will face number 1 Alabama home, number 24 Florida road, number 13 Georgia home, and undefeated Ole Miss road the next 4 weeks. For now, though, the Commodores will bask in the glow of the biggest win, outside of last year's upending of number 24 Tennessee, of Derek Mason's time in Nashville. Clemson may not be ranked number 1 in the country tomorrow, but they should be. The defending national champions looked very much like a team interested in defending the title, as the number 3 ranked Tigers smacked reigning Heisman Trophy winner Lamar Jackson and number 14 Louisville, 4,721 before a blacked-out Cardinal Stadium crowd in Louisville. The Tigers' 30-10 ACC asserted the dominance from the start, forcing a 3-and-out to open the game and then moving 79 yards in 10 crisply executed plays, culminating in an 8-yard Kelly Bryant keeper. Louisville 21-11 ACC tied the game with a 95-yard drive, the only flash of Jackson's 2016 brilliance. He accounted for all 95 yards on the drive with the help of a 15-yard late hit flag, with runs of 15 and 30 yards and an 11-yard touchdown pass to Charles Stanberry. Clemson reclaimed the lead for good on a 31-yard Greg Hugel field goal with 6:57 left before the half, then added some distance when Bryant found a wide-open Ray McLeod for a 79-yard catch-and-run score. After adding another field goal before the break, Clemson's defense slam-dunked an exclamation point score when Dorian O'Daniel baited Jackson into an interception, then returned it 44 yards for a touchdown to hand Clemson a 267 lead with 857 left in the third quarter. Bryant would add another rushing touchdown to close the third quarter, and would finish the night as the game's true Heisman contender. Making his first ever road start, Bryant hit 22 of 32 passes for 316 yards with a touchdown and an interception, while rushing for another 26 yards and 2 scores. Clemson would add 2 more touchdown runs, a 39-yarder by Adam Choice and an 81-yard bust by Travis Etienne. As a team, Clemson rushed 46 times for 291 yards and 4 touchdowns. If Bryant is Clemson's Heisman candidate, it's only because the Tigers' defense isn't eligible. Fresh off posting 11 sacks against Auburn, Clemson sacked Jackson 4 times, harassing him into a pedestrian-for-him night of 21 of 41 passing for 317 yards with 3 touchdowns and a pick-six and 17 carries for 64 yards. The Cardinals as a team rushed 25 times for 117 yards.